no matter how much of this you do, you may not see results if you're not sleeping. Is that you? You're doing all the things. You're doing the weightlifting. You're actually eating well, trying to fit in all the protein, but you're still not seeing results. Not the tone, the definition, and definitely not the energy that you want. Sleep could be the culprit because we cannot ignore that. In this video, I'm going to tell you why sleep is so important, especially if you're a woman over 40 seeking muscle tone, muscle define, and energy, as well as bone density, and how you can get it. These are the secrets that I use to get a great night's sleep at 61, and they worked for me in perimenopause. And when it wasn't working, here's what I figured out so you don't have to. Hey, it's Deborah Atkinson, founder of Flipping 50, home of the first and the only exclusively made for menopause fitness membership in the world. Since 2013, I've been helping clients, not one, not two, not small groups, but large groups and programs and memberships at a time. And here's what we know about the connection between sleep and the results that you want from the work that you're doing. Before we jump into habits that work, habits that really, some of them don't cost anything, to others that are more embellished that you can spend and invest on if you choose to, we need to understand the science behind sleep. So there's a couple things you need to be aware of. Muscle protein synthesis versus muscle protein breakdown after the age of 40 becomes a real thing, particularly for women. When our estrogen levels go down with perimenopause, our cortisol levels simultaneously elevate. So the problem with that is estrogen works as a protector for our muscle as well as for our bone, meaning it doesn't necessarily stimulate muscle protein synthesis, but it helps us hold on to what we have. And if we have other good habits like exercise, strength training, we're probably going to increase our lean muscle mass much easier. But cortisol is actually something that increases muscle protein breakdown, meaning it's much easier to lose muscle. It's harder to hold on to it. And certainly we're going to resist and have to fight for every ounce of muscle that we gain. So we're not in a great situation. Sleep can compound that. So even one night of sleep deprivation means your cortisol levels will be off the next day. It's been proven that muscle protein synthesis is down or decreased compared to your norm, even after one night of sleep deprivation. So you tossed and turned last night, potentially today, you're on the verge of losing a little muscle. So we want to do everything we can on a regular basis, and those anomalies are going to come. We're going to stay up late for New Year's. We're going to have a wedding dance for our sons and our daughters, or an anniversary celebration, and those things are okay. So throwing that in once in a while, not going to hurt you. But if you're not sleeping on a regular chronic basis, we want to fix that fast. The thing to think about is this. So not just cortisol, but overnight in our deepest cycles of sleep, we release two hormones that have to do with muscle: testosterone and growth hormone. Those actually help seal the deal. If you've done the exercise, you've done your resistance training or your high intensity resistance training or high intensity impact training, or you've done, say, some jump training or yoga, things that stimulate lean muscle tissue, you have to seal the deal in the rest and recovery, and sleep is the king, queen, prince, and princess of recovery. We want to release those hormones so that we can boost our muscle. If we don't sleep, if we're waking frequently at night, whether because of our own hormones, because of someone snoring next to us, or a dog waking up, that is disruptive to your sleep. A little trivia: more women would sleep in a separate room from their spouse than from their dog. How about you? Tell me below in the comments. Okay, So, last but not least, I want you to pay attention to what happens with blood sugar levels. So, the day after sleep deprivation, we're already in muscle protein breakdown. We have elevated cortisol levels, and that actually means that we'll have more blood sugar roller coasters. So, we'll go up and down. Our energy is not going to be stable. We're more vulnerable to cravings. The brownies in the break room start looking really good between 2 and 4. And that also means we're more likely to be in fat storage. So, all things that are counter to any woman's goals. So, let's talk about what I do, easy habits that help us to get better results in the bedroom. And you know what I mean by that, right? So, one of the things that I make sure that I do is that I'm all finished with dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. So that makes sure that your body is not competing. You're doing a lot of recovery work when you're sleeping, but your body can't do that repair work, can't release the testosterone and growth hormone if it's competing with digestion. So here's the mystery. A lot of women think, well, I don't want to go to bed hungry. And the truth is, the earlier I stop eating, the better I sleep. It's actually not a distraction at all. So before you decide you're not going to be able to sleep if you're going to bed hungry, give it a try. I like a minimum of 3 hours. I do an absolute minimum of 2 if you're worried. If you're not doing that, start backing it out. But I've also stopped eating by 4, going to bed at about 9. That is some of the best sleep that I ever get. We're talking not in a longer sleep, but more quality, more restful sleep. That's an easy one, costs you nothing. Another easy little habit that I've got, twofold. With dinner, I usually take my magnesium. Did you know that about 70 to 80% of us are walking around with insufficient amounts of magnesium? So we actually may need more than the RDA every day because we've dug ourselves in a hole and we have insufficient amount. Taking just the daily amount is not going to get us out of that hole. Testing is the best way to know. But I take a serving of magnesium with dinner because it's absorbed with food. If I'm not sleeping well, for some reason I'm in a pattern of worry, concern, or I notice I've been waking up, I'll take another right before bed. You want it in your system to help you stay asleep. I love this one from BioOptimizers. It's got 8 different kinds of magnesium, and in the last 12 years, trust me, I've tried a lot of them. You can take it in powder or in capsule, totally up to you. And the other thing is hormone therapy. So progesterone is the hormone we make less of, that one, just like so many others when we hit menopause. But progesterone is your chill and relax hormone. So if you're struggling to get to sleep or to stay asleep, you may be looking for some progesterone. Just a little tip. If you are taking progesterone and you're waking up groggy, that can be a sign of different things, but one of them could be your dose is too high. You may want to back off of that or ask your practitioner about that. It's a little tip that I didn't know, even though I was working with a practitioner. They don't know to instruct you to back off of the dose unless you tell them how you're feeling. So volunteer that information. Estrogen, progesterone should be in a balance. If you have too little progesterone, it can be because you've got too much cortisol, too much worry, too much stress going on. You're not dealing with that really well. And so you are what they call estrogen dominant. Not necessarily is your estrogen higher, but your progesterone relative to it is lower. Progesterone can be super helpful. For dinner, you want to consider inviting, say, a sweet potato to your dinner, something with carbohydrate in your dinner, even if you've sworn off carbs. You may want to rethink that. Carbohydrates actually provide us with something called serotonin, and serotonin is like a mood booster. Neurotransmitters released from your brain in response to exercise, sunlight, talking with friends, and you guessed it, carbohydrates. And so many of us are trying to reduce carbs because we think it's a fast track to fat loss. But the truth is, getting great sleep is a fast track to improve body composition and maybe, if you have it to lose, to weight loss. So True confessions, I just got back from a conference and my refrigerator is very sparse with carbohydrates. I too can do it. So there's no sweet potatoes on the counter. There's not too many carbs in the fridge. But what I always have in the pantry is some kind of beans. So I love black beans. We're getting a little protein here. We're getting definitely carbohydrates, and we're also getting fiber, which is great for gut health. In the long run, if you're struggling with gut health, you may also be struggling with sleep. Garbanzo beans, too. So, by comparison, we've got garbanzo beans, total carbs in one serving, 21 grams, total with black beans, also 21. So, we're getting even. You could also look at any kind of bean you like. Butter beans are a favorite of mine. I love to throw them in a salad. You could look at kidney beans if you're having chili, for instance. That's a great dinner meal, high in carbohydrates, still high in protein, and high in fiber. That will help you sleep too. Remember, carbohydrates inspire serotonin. Serotonin helps you chill and relax and be ready for sleep. About 90 minutes before bed, try to shut down your screens, your phone, your laptop, your iPad. Get rid of those. Pick up a book instead. And remember, it's a good book, not a great book. So you won't be tempted to stay up past your bedtime. I have a whole stack next to my bed. I don't get through them very quickly at all because I read about 3 pages, and all it is a cue for me to go to sleep. It's just something my body's used to doing. So when I'm traveling, there's no magazine or book in the hotel and I've forgotten to bring one, I actually am at a loss. So get yourself a habit, but screens will actually make it harder to go to sleep. If you're watching a movie from across the room, it's probably the less of all evils, but don't watch something that gets you all tense right before bed. One of my favorite free hacks is an Epsom salt bath. You want to be sure that whatever is on the label, the ingredients are Epsom salt only, no fragrance. So if it's got essential lavender oil and that's it, you're okay there too. But you want to watch out for those extra fragrances. Epsom salt is magnesium. So if you're shying away from taking supplements, adding Epsom salts to your bath, your skin, that largest organ, will absorb if you need it. And if you don't need it, there's no harm, no foul. Sitting in the Epsom salt will still make your skin nice and smooth, number one, but also help your muscles relax. And also elevating your core temperature by making that a fairly hot bath will help you elevate core temperature, and everything that goes up must come down. The drop of our core temperature at night is a cue to our brain and our bodies to go to sleep. Bears hibernate in winter by the same token. So if you can, about 90 minutes before you want to actually fall asleep, take a hot sauna, a hot shower, or a hot bath is probably the most effective. If you can do that in that 90 minutes that follows as your core temperature comes down, you'll be cueing your brain to go to sleep. It's a game changer if you haven't tried it before. And sometimes it doesn't all work. Recently, one of our community members shared with me she tried all the things. She had eliminated the screens, invited sweet potatoes to dinner, and was taking Epsom salt baths, had good habits, but yet nothing was working, and it was turning her world upside down, making it really difficult to function during the day, let alone see muscle tone and optimal body composition. She ended up resorting to Blue Sky sleep gels. These are a CBD supplement. So if you're really struggling, I'll put the link for that down below as well. Those kinds of additional tips may also work for you. Last but not least, more of an investment. This is my Sunlighten Solo Sauna. Obviously, no one else is going to fit in here with me. This was something I invested in when I was training for Ironman to actually boost recovery, but it was also pampering. I lived in the mountains at the time where 9 months out of the year it was potentially snowing and cold. And so it was an opportunity to get really warm to the core, literally every day. But it also is great for anti-aging, for your skin. It's like a cardiovascular workout without adding the cardiovascular stress. There are a lot of reasons why sunlight and red light therapies are really the bomb right now, but sleep is another one of them. So again, 90 minutes right before bed, elevating core temperature, taking a shower, and winding down. As your core temperature comes down, you may sleep the best you've slept in your life. That was my experience. If you can get outside first thing in the morning, literally 15 to 30 minutes after you wake, get some sunlight in your eyes. Now, it's peak middle of the day sun right now. And if you haven't had the opportunity to get out, maybe you had to get up at dark 100 and be inside, the next best thing is get some sunlight in your eyes, no matter what. Exposing your eyes to sun now means that you will produce melatonin, the get to sleep hormone, at night when it's dark. So you're helping boost your production of that sleep hormone by getting exposure to sun now. Whether it's first thing in the morning or not, try to get it in at some point during the day. And of course, get some movement of any kind. Here's what a study by the National Sleep Foundation found. It was a survey, so individuals telling their own story, but their interpretation was 10 minutes of exercise, self-selected. They had gone for a walk at their pace they wanted. They were doing maybe resistance training or yoga that they chose. 10 minutes of exercise is all it took to increase or enhance the sleep quality by 33%. That's a pretty good ROI. Just 10 minutes. Get outside, move a little, even on your busiest days, and you hit two birds with one stone: the exposure to sunlight as well as the movement. And good night. So there you have it. Sleep is critical to feeling your best, to thinking your best, focus, concentration, your mood, but also to optimizing the hormones that actually help you optimize the fitness. To get the reward from the work you're doing in the gym or on the walks or the high intensity interval training, you need to be sleeping. So focus on that. Here's what I often will tell our students. If you're not sleeping, yes, exercise, but every exercise decision you make should be about how do I get better sleep? Because until that falls, the results from harder or more exercise won't actually work. So think about the choices that you're making. Intense early, light late will actually be more helpful for sleep. And there are several others. And if you want a little bit more help, join our 10-day challenge. It's a metabolism reset for women in menopause and beyond, called the 10-day Hot Not Bothered Challenge. Details below.